Iran is being accused of orchestrating anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. The Prime Minister says deeply disturbing intelligence shows Iran was behind an arson attack on a cafe in Bondi and a synagogue in Melbourne. In a dramatic day of developments, the Iranian ambassador to Australia has been expelled and Australia has closed its embassy in Tehran. Here's National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman.
The early morning attack struck at the heart of Melbourne's Jewish community. Now a revelation about who was ultimately behind it.
Iran and its proxies literally and figuratively lit the matches and fanned the flames.
Not once, but twice. Iran orchestrating the arson attacks on the Adass Israel synagogue in December and Sydney's Lewis Continental Kitchen months earlier.
These were extraordinary and dangerous acts of aggression orchestrated by a foreign nation on Australian soil.
The spy chief hailing the painstaking intelligence work that pieced together the crimes, from the hardline Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps through a complex web of intermediaries and onto the streets of Bondi and Ripponlea.
It's a layer cake of cutouts between IRGC and the person or the alleged perpetrators conducting crimes. Some of the alleged perpetrators did this because they were paid to do it.
Quite horrendous, scary, traumatic, and really from the community a lot of stress and despair.
In response, Australia's taking unprecedented action, expelling the Iranian ambassador interviewed by the ABC just last month, suspending operations at Australia's embassy in Tehran and listing the IRGC as a terrorist organisation.
That is something that our community have been advocating for and campaigning for since forever.
Bipartisan support in Parliament.
Brazen attempts to cleave apart our social cohesion, to turn neighbour against neighbour and Australian against Australian.
And from the premiers whose states were targeted.
That there is never any tolerance for that kind of international intervention, vile and racist intervention.
This attack was not just an attack on Victoria's Jewish community, it was an attack on all Victorians.
Here at the Iranian embassy, there's been little movement so far. The government says there's no evidence anyone inside this building was involved in the attacks. Nevertheless, the ambassador has been declared a persona non grata and together with 3 of his diplomats has been given 7 days to leave the country. Australia's diplomatic relationship with Iran all but severed.
This is the first time in the post-war period that Australia has expelled an ambassador.
A red line clearly crossed and a decades-long precedent broken. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
For a look at what led to this historic decision, here's the ABC's national political lead, David Spears.
The Albanese government had been resisting calls to expel the ambassador, but when ASIO yesterday advised Iran was behind these 2 attacks, it had no choice. These were attacks on Australian soil and social cohesion. Appalling, shocking, totally unacceptable, said the Prime Minister. His anger was clear. Kicking out the ambassador and listing Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organisation are big steps. And this move follows a painstaking investigation. Back in January, the Federal Police Commissioner pointed to the possible involvement of foreign actors paying local criminals to carry out the attacks. Encrypted communications and cryptocurrency transactions were tracked. Five Eyes and other international partners were engaged in the investigation. And then in recent weeks, 2 young Victorian men were charged in relation to the Adass Israel synagogue attack. Now, Iran has been named as ultimately responsible. The government has long warned against foreign conflicts being brought here. Now it believes Iran itself has done just that.